Good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Coach Kevin here. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'd like to do is go ahead and share my screen with you and point out a couple of things. For those of you who are here with us for the very first time, or maybe you're watching this as a recording, as soon as it pops up here for us, I'll show you. Let's see here. I believe. Here we go. Perfect. All right. First thing I'd like to do is point out that we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetup, has exactly the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. We invite you to come join us. What you do is go into your own profile and just look where it says search Facebook, type in I want to be really rich and do not apologize for it. You can find us that way. The other way you can find us is you can go directly to facebook.com/groups/, I want to be really rich as one word. So that's how you can come find us and come join us. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that if we have any special announcements for the group, we usually try and pin that to the top. The other thing is, as long as I remember to hit record, which I usually do, however, yesterday I did not hit record, I guess. Either that or it didn't record correctly, one or the other. But anyhow, since November 5th, I think I've missed 2 times, and I've been there every other time. So there might be 2 missing recordings. One will be yesterday's and one was quite a while ago. But for the most part, I remember to record these meetings, which I did remember today. It is recording. Okay. So just wanted to share with you that you can come find those recordings here in the Facebook group. So for instance, let's say you're with us on Tuesday, Wednesday, can't make it on Thursday, and then you're back with us on Friday. If you want to catch up on what you missed out on Thursday, then you can come into the group. And usually the same day or the first thing in the morning, the next day, it'll tend to be posted there. Okay. Unless I forget, which again, that's pretty rare, but it did happen yesterday. All right. The other thing is, it's another place where you can communicate with us outside of the 45 minutes or so we have together each day, Monday through Friday, and a place where also some people will go ahead and ask questions, maybe about the material that we're working on or going through, or any other type of question they have that maybe they would have liked to ask in the meeting, but they couldn't attend it. And it coincides with what we're doing. All right. Next thing I want to point out to everybody here is what we are in the process of going through right now. Now, we are actually going through a book called The Game of Life. It was written by Florence Skovel Shinn. It was written quite a while ago, okay? And this particular book, we chose to study it as a group because what Florence does in this particular book is she gives a lot of good examples of what people actually did to manifest more money and wealth in their life, as well as other good things they wanted. Now, our Facebook group is predominantly focused and geared towards manifesting more money and wealth in our life. That hence the name of the group, okay? However, a lot of the principles for manifesting what we want will apply to other things. And vice versa, when we learn how somebody was able to manifest maybe better health or a better relationship or something, the same process they went through often is the process that you would go through to manifest more money and wealth in your life. So Florence does talk quite a bit about money in this book and manifesting it and things that people did. But she does also talk about some other things that people manifested. The important part of it is to get the understanding of the process and to understand what people do. And we've actually gone through quite a bit of training since November 5th on how to, with the formulas and everything of how to manifest more money and wealth. But what some of you guys have come up with and asked was, well, okay, what would I say for myself personally? So what I like about this book are the examples that are given that will give you ideas, because ultimately, especially if you're creating like an affirmation or auto suggestion for yourself, the one that's going to work best for you is the one that God and the universe inspires you to use. That's actually the one that's going to work the best for you. Now, if you're new to this, you're like, well, then how would I even know that? Well, again, this book gives a lot of good ideas, which can spark God in the universe to actually say, hey, do this the way it is, and or do this slightly modified. Okay. So I happen to own the book on Kindle. I happen to own the book on Audible. However, when possible, as long as I can find a free copy somewhere on the internet, I search it out and make sure it's a good one. And then if I find it for you, I tell you where I found it. Therefore, you can go get it for yourself. So that's exactly what I did. I typed in The Game of Life, Florence Skovel Shinn, PDF, went through several. I liked this one. So this one right here is the copy we're going to be using, and I'm going to show it up on my screen share here in a moment. But if you go to where it says The Game of Life, comma, by Florence Scovel Shinn dash free ebook, and you look up here, it says www.globalgrayebooks.com, and then Game of Life ebook. That is the one that I got. What happens when you click this particular link, I'll show you. What it did and does is it brings you to this page. And what I did is I just went down below and I clicked on the PDF. Now, when I clicked on the PDF, what came up for me was this. Now, it actually came up for me on the cover, page 1, instead of page 44 of the book, or excuse me, the PDF file on page 40 of the book. But I'm not going to go to page 1 right now to show you that, because we're on page 44 and that's where we left off yesterday and where we're going to pick up today. However, I can tell you that what you just saw is exactly what happens, and it didn't ask for name, email, or anything, and I just went ahead, bam, hit my download function and saved it to my computer, which you can save it to your phone, your desktop, your laptop, tablet, whatever it is that you're using, and have a copy of your own and have the same one that we're using, okay? You can follow along with us that way with your own copy. The other thing you can do for now, if you don't want to go do that right away, is you could just follow along today, because I'm going to keep sharing my screen as we go through this. All right. But I still highly recommend, we're on page 44, and Florence has shared a lot of great information with us, and we've kind of taken it apart, and you guys have asked lots of great questions when we have our discussion portion, which, by the way, what we do right now is we're not going to be chatting up with each other. But if you're using the chat function trying to get my attention right now, it's not going to happen, because I'm not paying any attention to it. Okay. However, we leave 10 to 15 minutes towards the end for you guys to share what you want to share or ask whatever questions you want to ask. So if you got a burning question, write it down. We'll get to it. Okay. There's always enough time for that to happen. And even if I need to stick around a few extra minutes to make sure everybody gets their questions answered, I tend to do that as long as my schedule permits, and today it does. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is hop in where we left off, hop into love. Pretty appropriate considering Valentine's Day is Sunday, right? Gonna hop into this after I get a sip of water, and then we will get rolling with it. Love. All right. Move something on my screen here, make it a little easier for myself. All right. Love. Every man on this planet is taking his initiation in love. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another. Ouspensky states in Tertium Organum that love is a cosmic phenomenon and opens to man the fourth dimensional world, the world of the wondrous. Real love is selfless and free from fear. It pours itself out upon the object of its affection without demanding any return. Its joy is in the joy of giving. Love is God in manifestation and the strongest magnetic force in the universe. Pure, unselfish love draws to itself its own. It does not need to seek or demand. Scarcely anyone has the faintest conception of real love. Man is selfish, tyrannical, and fearful in his affections, thereby losing the thing he loves. Jealousy is the worst enemy of love, for the imagination runs riot, seeing the loved one attracted to another, and invariably these fears objectify if they are not neutralized. For example, a woman came to me in deep distress. The man she loved had left her for another woman and said he never intended to marry her. She was torn with jealousy and resentment and said she hoped he would suffer as he made her suffer, and added, "How could he leave me when I loved him too much?" I replied, "You're not loving that man, you're hating him," and added, "You can never receive what you've never given. Give a perfect love and you will receive a perfect. Perfect yourself on this man. Give him a perfect, unselfish love, demanding nothing in return. Do not criticize or condemn, and bless him wherever he is." She replied, "No, I won't bless him unless I know where he is." Well, I said, "That's not real love. When you send out real love will return to you, either from this man or his equivalent. For if this man is not the divine selection, you will not want him. As you are one with God, you are one with the love which belongs to you by divine right." Several months passed, and matters remained about the same, but she was working conscientiously with herself. I said, "When you are no longer disturbed by his cruelty, he will cease to be cruel, as you are attracting it through your own emotions." Then I told her of a brotherhood in India who never said good morning to each other. They used these words: "I salute the divinity in you." They saluted the divinity in every man and in the wild animals in the jungle, and they were never harmed, for they saw only God in every living thing. I said, "Salute the divinity in this man, and say, I see your divine self only. I see you as God sees you, perfect, made in his image and likeness." She found she was becoming more poised and gradually losing her resentment. He was a captain, and she always called him the Cap. One day, she said suddenly, "God bless the Cap wherever he is." I replied, "Now that is real love. And when you are becoming a complete circle, or when you have become a complete circle and are no longer disturbed by the situation, you will have his love or attract its equivalent." I was moving at this time and did not have a telephone, so was out of touch with her for a few weeks, when one morning I received a letter saying we are married. At the earliest opportunity, I paid her a call. My first words were, "What happened?" "Oh," she exclaimed, "a miracle. One day I woke up and all suffering had ceased. I saw him that evening and he asked me to marry him. We were married in about a week. And I've never seen a more devoted man." There is an old saying, "No man is your enemy, no man is your friend. Every man is your teacher." So one should become impersonal and learn what each person has to teach him or her. And soon he or she would learn the lessons and be free. Let me repeat this. So one should become impersonal and learn what each man has to teach him or her. And soon he or she would learn the lessons and be free. The woman's lover was teaching her selfless love, which every man sooner or later must learn. Suffering is not necessary for man's development. Let me repeat that. Suffering is not necessary for man or woman's development. Let me repeat that again. Suffering is not necessary for man or woman's development. It is the result of violation of spiritual law. But few people seem able to rouse themselves from their soul sleep without it. When people are happy, they usually become selfish, and automatically the law of karma is set in action. Man often suffers loss through lack of appreciation. Interesting, huh? You would think when people are happy, they wouldn't do this, but this is the circle of the world. When people are happy, they usually become selfish. And automatically, the law of karma is set in action. Man often suffers loss, and here's why: through lack of appreciation. See, we become happy and we ask for more things, and God bestows it upon us, God in the universe, and we lose the appreciation. And we stop with appreciation and we become selfish, and we just expect, but we're not willing to give, and we're also not appreciative when we are given. I knew a woman who had a very nice husband, but she often said, I don't care anything about being married, but that is nothing against my husband. I'm simply not interested in married life. She had other interests and scarcely remembered she had a husband. She only thought of him when she saw him. One day, her husband told her he was in love with another woman and left. She came to me in distress and resentment. I replied, it is exactly what you spoke the word for. You said you didn't care anything about being married. So the subconscious worked to get you unmarried. She said, oh, yes, I see. People get what they want and then feel very much hurt. She soon became in perfect harmony with the situation and knew they were both much happier apart. When a woman becomes indifferent or critical and ceases to be an inspiration to her husband, he misses the stimulus of their early relationship and is restless and unhappy. A man came to me dejected, miserable, and poor. His wife was interested in the science of numbers and had him read. It seems the report was not very favorable, for he said, my wife says I'll never amount to anything because I'm a 2. I replied, I don't care what your number is. You're a perfect idea in divine mind, and we will demand the success and prosperity which are already planned for you by that infinite intelligence. Within a few weeks, he had a very fine position, and a year or two later, he achieved a brilliant success as a writer. No man is a success in business unless he loves his work. The picture the artist paints for love of his art is his greatest work. The potboiler is always something to live down. No man can attract money if he despises it. Let me repeat this. No man or woman can attract money if he or she despises it. And you may not think that you do, but if you're saying filthy, stinking rich or those rich people, and then something negative comes out of your mouth afterwards, then that is what's going on. No man or woman can attract money if he or she despises it. If you're all upset about it, you're angry that you have to use money to get along in this world, which, by the way, I've felt that way before. And I was absolutely at the time repelling it till I changed my mind, changed my attitude about it. You may be repelling it because you despise it because you're angry that you need it and that others have it. No man or woman can attract money if he or she despises it. Many people are kept in poverty by saying money means nothing to me. Mm-hmm. And I have contempt for people who have it. Now, those may not be the exact same words that you're saying, but you're talking to yourself that either out loud, which is pretty bad, and even inwardly and quietly to yourself, this is your thoughts, definitely still not a good thing. Okay. But things like, yeah, money doesn't mean much, or, well, I don't really need that much. Well, money is nothing to me. And I have a contempt for people who have it, saying nasty things about people, either, that you know or you don't know, that have a lot of money in relationship to their wealth or because they're wealthy or because of jealousy. This is the reason, okay, catch this. This is the reason so many artists are poor. Their contempt for money separates them from it. It's almost like a badge of honor. I'm an artist. I don't need much. I don't have much. And funny enough, though, they do actually typically want to be recognized for what they do and would be ecstatic if they could sell their works for money and even lots of money. But wrong attitude, you're going to repel money. This is the reason so many artists are poor. Their contempt for money separates them from it. I remember hearing one artist say of another, he's no good as an artist. He has money in the bank. Yep. All right. This attitude of mind, of course, separates man from his supply. He must be in harmony with a thing in order to attract it. This attitude of mind, of course, separates man from his supply. He must be in harmony with a thing in order to attract it. Money is God in manifestation, as freedom from want and limitation, but must always be kept in circulation and put to right uses. Hoarding and saving react with grim vengeance. This does not mean that a man should not have houses and lots, stocks and bonds, for the barns of the righteous man shall be full. It means man should not hoard even the principal if an occasion arises when money is necessary. In letting it go out fearlessly and cheerfully, he or she opens the way for more to come in. For God is man's unfailing and inexhaustible supply. This is the spiritual attitude towards money, and the great bank of the universe never fails. We see an example of hoarding in the film production of Greed. The woman won $5,000 in a lottery, but she would not spend it. She hoarded and saved, let her husband suffer and starve, and eventually she scrubbed floors for a living. She loved the money itself and put it above everything, and one night she was murdered and the money was taken from her. This is an example of where love of money is the root of all evil. Money in itself is good and beneficial, but used for destructive purposes, hoarded and saved, or considered more important than love, brings disease and disaster and the loss of the money itself. Follow the path of love, and all things are added. For God is love, and God is supply. Follow the path of selfishness and greed, and the supply vanishes, or man is separated from it. For example, I knew the case of a very rich woman who hoarded her income. She rarely gave anything away, but bought and bought and bought things for herself. She was very fond of necklaces, and a friend once asked her how many she possessed. She replied, 67. She bought them and put them away, carefully wrapped in tissue paper. Had she used the necklaces, it would have been quite legitimate, but she was violating the law of use. Her closets were filled with clothes she never wore and jewels which never saw the light. The woman's arms were gradually becoming paralyzed from holding on to things, and eventually she was considered incapable of looking after her affairs, and her wealth was handed over to others to manage. So man or woman in ignorance of the law brings about his or her own destruction. All disease, all unhappiness comes from the violation of the law of love. Man's boomerangs of hate, resentment, and criticism come back laden with sickness and sorrow. Love seems almost a lost art, but the man with the knowledge of spiritual law knows it must be regained, for without it, he has become as sounding brass and tinkling cymbals. For example, I had a student who came to me month after month to clean her consciousness of resentment. After a while, she arrived at the point where she resented only one woman. But that one woman kept her busy. Little by little, she became poised and harmonious, and one day all resentment was wiped out. She came in radiant and exclaimed, "You can't understand how I feel." The woman said something to me, and instead of being furious, I was loving and kind. And she apologized and was perfectly lovely to me. No one can understand the marvelous lightness I feel within. Love and goodwill are invaluable in business. For example, a woman came to me complaining of her employer. She said she was cold and critical and knew she did not want her in the position. Well, I replied, "Salute the divinity in the woman and send her love." She said, "I can't. She's a marble woman." Not marble, miserable, whatever. I answered, "You remember the story of the sculptor who asked for a certain piece of marble? He was asked why he wanted it, and he replied, because there is an angel in the marble. And out of it, he produced a wonderful work of art." She said, "Very well, I'll try it." A week later, she came back and said, I did what you told me to. And now the woman is very kind and took me out in her car. People are sometimes filled with remorse for having done someone an unkindness, perhaps years ago. If the wrong cannot be righted, its effect can be neutralized by doing someone a kindness in the present. Let me repeat that. If the wrong cannot be righted, its effect can be neutralized by doing someone a kindness in the present. Now, that doesn't mean you get out of making amends with the person who you have the problem with. That's avoiding it, okay? It's if it can't be righted, if you don't have the ability to interact with that other person, to ask for forgiveness, to give forgiveness, because they're gone. If the wrong cannot be righted, though, you're not stuck forever. Its effect can be neutralized by doing someone a kindness in the present. This one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. Sorrow, regret, and remorse tear down the cells of the body and poison the atmosphere of the individual. A woman said to me in deep sorrow, treat me to be happy and joyous, for my sorrow makes me so irritable with the members of my family that I keep making more karma. I was asked to treat a woman who was mourning for her daughter. I denied all belief in loss and separation and affirmed that God was the woman's joy, love, and peace. The woman gained her poise at once, but sent word by her son not to treat any longer because she was so happy it wasn't respectable. Let me go through this again, okay? Because I know some people have been dealing lately with loss like this. I was asked to treat a woman who is mourning for her daughter. I denied all belief in loss and separation and affirmed that God was the woman's joy, love, and peace. The woman gained her poise at once, but sent word by her son not to treat any longer because she was so happy it wasn't respectable. So mortal mind loves to hang on to its griefs and regrets. I knew a woman who went about bragging of her troubles, so of course she always had something to brag about. The old idea was if a woman did not worry about her children, she was not a good mother. Now we know that the mother fear is responsible for many of the diseases and accidents which come into the lives of children. Let me repeat this, us moms and dads, right? The old idea was if mom or dad didn't worry about his or her children, but especially mom, he or she was not a good mother or father. Now we know that mother fear is responsible for many of the diseases and accidents which come into the lives of children. For fear pictures vividly the disease or situation feared, and these pictures objectify, if not neutralized. Happy is the mother who can say sincerely that she puts her child in God's hands and knows, therefore, that he is divinely protected. I love that. That's what I've learned to do. And boy, does it feel so much better. Happy is the mother who can say sincerely that she puts her child in God's hands and knows, therefore, that her child is divinely protected. For example, a woman awoke suddenly in the night feeling her brother was in great danger. Instead of giving in to her fears, she commenced making statements of truth, saying, man is a perfect idea in divine mind and is always in the right place. Therefore, my brother is in his right place and is divinely protected. The next day, she found that her brother had been in close proximity to an explosion in a mine, but had miraculously escaped. So man is his brother's keeper in thought, and every man should know that the thing he loves dwells in the secret place of the Most High and abides under the shadow of the Almighty. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Perfect love casteth out fear. He that feareth is not made perfect in love, and love is the fulfilling of the law. Ooh, this is going to be really good when we pick back up. All right. However, now is sharing and question and answer time. Wonderful to see that you guys have joined us today. Anybody new here that has not been here? So I apologize, but yesterday I think I forgot to hit record. So we don't have yesterday's recording. However, I put a post into the Facebook group, and I think maybe that was meant to be that way. Also want to let you know, let's see, I think it was Rika, if you guys want to test messaging any individually with chat, if anybody's able to do that, wants to test that and let me know if it's working, that would be wonderful, because I think we got that to work now. So now you guys can chat with each other without it popping up and showing everybody and interrupting what we're doing. Is it working? It looks good on my side. All right, thank you. All right, it's working. I got it figured out. So everybody's been with us before and you know the drill. So here's your opportunity to share and or ask questions. Take it away. Or not. Did anybody get anything out of what we read today?
Okay, I'm just going to speak. I was trying to finish my notes because I'm multitasking
Okay.
before I speak, but the silence was kind of getting me. Um, so, hi, Kevin. It's Sunshine. How are you doing today?
Terrific. How about you, Sunshine?
That's great. I am doing well. I wanted to share that I came back to work. So I've been off work for the last couple of days. And as you were going through the material, I was like, I miss not working while the class is going on. It's a whole different level of me taking in things. But when I came back to my mentor, who's actually off today, telling me that they had a position that's not yet been listed for the job that I've been looking for. And that happened on Monday. So I wasn't around on Monday. And I'm believing that what's for me is for me. And though I wasn't there on Monday, that spot is still being considered. So I did send some emails out to reach out to, and they're in Bangalore, they're in India,
Okay.
the two people that spoke about it. But I have all positive feelings about this, and I've already claimed it in the universe as mine and all that good stuff. What I didn't do and what I'm thinking and remembering right now is I have to go, what is for me or something better that the
Yes.
universe has for me.
That's immediately what I was thinking. I'm like, I hope she did that.
I didn't, but I
You can add
will.
it now. You can add it
Yep.
still.
Yep. I just added it now and I'll add it again later
Yeah.
because I did have a conversation and one young lady was saying that the positions here were a little overbearing and required her to do more work, but she was on a contract too.
Uh-huh.
So that might have been different, but I'm excited for the experience. And also, when I got back, my mentor told me that I have been okayed to be the scrum master for our community of practice too. So that's just more added experience for my tool belt, which will open doors in the future for me. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
I'm just still working on changing my imagination, changing my frequency, my vibration, working on taking it to the next level. It's not easy.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
No, no,
See?
no. And that this is
Then I get embarrassed.
Again, so somebody it's okay, it's fine, because it's happened to most of us.
Okay.
Somebody has put you in a spot of, like you said, then you're embarrassed, I'm this, I'm that. First of all, just share whatever you like to share. We all love you. Okay.
Okay.
Share what you like to share. The other part of it is, though, your self-talk is still needing some improvement. So you might want to write out it. Okay, here's a piece of advice for you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm
Take
open. Good.
take a little, maybe not a big one, depending, because you might be driving or going somewhere. Take a
Mhm.
little pad with you. All right. And
Yes.
when you catch yourself saying a word that makes things take longer, harder, whatever, go into the notepad, write that word down, exit out, and write the opposite of it.
Okay.
Okay. And claim to yourself, I will, for now on going forward, speak the truth, which is what I just wrote. That, and again, don't get down on yourself if you miss once or twice, but the point I want you to understand, the blind spot right now is that the first thing you come out and say is, sometimes it's like, this is hard, or you say, I'm doing really well, I'm working on me, I'm gonna, and boy, it's hard and it takes a long time and all. It no, it
Yes.
doesn't, it just is. I'm not saying for every individual it's going to be different, but if you keep, what you're doing is you're putting the positive out there, and then right away your
Okay.
subconscious mind is fighting, it's wanting to shoot that down. So it's almost like you released something, and then the subconscious mind, think of duck hunting, or think of geese or something, right? Or a dove. It's like a dove just got released from the cage with the good thing you just said, and immediately your subconscious is watching the dove get away, and it's pulling out a shotgun and taking the dove out of the air before it can actually get to where it wants to. I'm trying to give you guys a visual,
I love it.
because it's like, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting the good out and then I'm shooting it down instantly. And no, so I'm not getting what it is that I want. So that's part of what you've done to yourself, is you're going positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative in the same paragraph.
In the same sentence.
Sometimes.
Because as a child, my mother kept repeating. I remember her telling my older sisters, don't tell her that. You're going to give her an inferiority complex. You're going to give her an inferiority complex.
There you go.
Growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's okay. I mean, it doesn't feel good. Okay. But what I'm saying is, whatever programs every one of us has, they're okay. They're
Mhm.
just fine. The reason they're okay and they're fine, because there's not a single one of them that can't be changed to what you want.
Mhm.
But you got to kind of take them on one at a time as they pop up, as you're willing to do that, and then
Mhm.
take it on until you've now replaced it with something else. But that's
Yes.
essentially what's happening. The programs are running.
Yes.
You overheard that, and they
Mhm.
didn't even have to say anything. Your mom gave you this in that complex, just because of what she told them, because of how you took it in. Okay.
Mhm. That's it.
So you are going to have to talk to yourself and about yourself differently. And that's why we've taken so much time in some of the works that we've done to bring in things that are maybe a little more spiritual. Okay. Like I'm not going to tell you guys what the next book is we're going to do after this. I already know what it is, but it's going to be a little less on the spiritual side and more scientific. Okay. But
Mhm.
you need to understand who you are. And I know from a subconscious level, it's not accepting completely yet, but that's okay. But you're unlimited just like everybody else. And there's not anything. Let me ask you this, and if you have, then maybe don't tell us. Okay. Have you murdered anybody? No. Okay. Well, pretty much outside of that, anything else that you've done, and even then, depending on, you could still be forgiven. But if anything you've done that's less than murder, you're probably in pretty good shape.
Mhm.
It can be forgiven, and you should forgive yourself. And even
Mhm.
if you had murdered yourself, or You didn't, right? I'm trying to go extreme again.
I know.
Because I'm not saying, please nobody goes out there and goes, Kevin programmed me to go shoot someone today.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm being facetious. Okay, I'm just kidding around. But
Yeah.
my point is, there's nothing anybody's done here that is so terrible, or no program that is so awful, or no experience that we've lived through, no matter how tough it is, that can't be changed going forward, not by reliving the past, but by making the choice of what we want it to be like now.
Yes.
Make the choice of what you want it to be like now, and write your life out the way you want it to be, and then be committed to reading that and going through it every day multiple times until you finally accept it, because eventually your subconscious mind is going to go, all right, okay, fine, she's not okay anymore with the crap, so I'm going to have to deliver something else to her because she doesn't see herself as crap any longer. And that's kind of, and again, right, but your image of yourself becomes above whatever has been holding you back, and your subconscious goes, all right, then that's what I got to make happen. So
yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes, Francine.
So yesterday I realized something really important, because, you know, we hear statistics all the time, and we tend to believe into them. And then I realized that there's a statistics that, you know, for example, the men to women ratio where I live, there's like 4 to 5 women per man that are single. So it's like,
Okay.
wow. So I put it in my head and believe that ratio, and therefore, and there most men that I live in, you know, in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, general area, are either poor from having been divorced, or having been widowed for a woman that needed a lot of health care and so on. So I'm like, so in my mind, I would never be able to meet anybody around here that, you know, I would be compatible with, because of those statistics and those beliefs that I put in my head. Well, yesterday I realized all that, and I'm like, no wonder I'm not meeting anybody.
Yep. Well, the other thing that
so I changed that, and I'm like, you know, we listen to statistics all the time. And
I don't care about it, but yeah.
And it's up to us. I realize it's up to us to believe in them or not. We can totally decide to reject them, whether they're true or not.
That is the use of your conscious mind and the use of your will to say, nope, I don't believe that. I don't accept that to be true. And the other thing you can do, I know this sounds funny, I'm going to be teasing a little bit. You can visualize Fabio if you want to. And if you do it well enough and he's meant for you, it doesn't matter where he lives, he'll come visit you in North Carolina and take you away. So don't worry about it. The location is irrelevant, and the number of people. There could be one man there, and that man some other man will show up at the right time when you are in vibration with that, and it's meant to be. So people do still have cars, planes, helicopters, boats, and whatnot. So somebody could be passing through, and you could still meet them.
Right. But my whole point was, you know, we can choose to believe those statistics. And if we do, then it makes our life more impossible to reach our goals and what we want.
Yeah. And okay, and and I'm talking to everybody, coronavirus example right here. And it's like, I get what's going on. So now what's happening is, since people aren't quite believing that the coronavirus can be eradicated and cured and all this other stuff, people are fearful. So now what we're doing is we're just creating new strains of it, so that even if we were to get vaccinated, it may not cover that one. So it's choose to believe what you want to believe. And I'm not being like mean, like choose to believe, you believe whatever you want. I don't care what no, I mean, literally choose to believe what you want to believe. Choose to assume what you want to be real. That's exactly what all this is about. And that's what we have a tough time doing, is choosing to believe what we want to be real. And anything outside of what we choose to believe is real is not real.
Even if the statistics show the opposite, we don't need to believe them.
Well, for us, it doesn't have to be. That's
Right.
kind of the point, right?
Right.
For us, it doesn't have to be. And it doesn't really have to be for anybody. But the only thing you and I can do, all of us can really do, is learn this and set the example. So somebody else goes, you look really happy and life is pretty good for you and you're never sick and you have money and your relationships, all this other stuff. What the heck? My life has been blah, blah, blah. If they're actually ready to learn, they'll be humble enough and they'll want to listen to whatever you have to say. Now, if they truly do. If they don't, then they're just like, what the heck? And you say, well, you know what? Here's some of my beliefs and here's what I'm doing. They go, oh, that's garbage. That's BS. Don't fight with them. Just go, just simply, okay, well, you asked me and this is how I got to the life I'm at. If you're interested, great. It's out there for everybody. But if you're not, no big deal.
Yeah. It's the choice we make.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Betsy, did you want to say
Yeah.
something?
Yes, hi, Kevin.
Hi,
I
Betsy.
just wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
What if, I mean, you're trying to be positive. I know everybody's
Uh-huh.
trying to be positive and believe you have the best life. But what if there is somebody like a neighbor who is very, very sick and you're trying to help them and it really makes you feel down?
Okay.
How can you counteract all that?
Uh-huh. So let me first of all, if you actually know what being and feeling down does for the other person, you might not be willing to feel down. Because it's that same syndrome what we read about today. You're doing for that person what the scared mom was doing to their child. So do you realize every time that you feel bad for a person and you feel down because they're down, that you're actually helping them stay down?
Okay.
So do you want, first of all, you gotta ask yourself, is that okay? I mean, you just said okay, right? But
No,
meaning
it's not okay.
that's not okay. In other words, you got to really understand I'm harming someone unintentionally, but it doesn't matter because the God, yes, but the energy out there, law of attraction, good, bad, right, or wrong, no, it just is. So it just reflects back. So if you're feeling that way for them, you're not doing them any good. And that's why I try and bring up that we think that we're meant to act a certain way because that's what society does.
Mhm.
And who decided that? I don't know. Somebody at 300 years ago on an island somewhere said that when somebody's sick, what you do is you run around and chant and mourn and cry, and they're in the process of dying, and you think you're out, and they die. And then what you do is you're upset, you wear black, and you do all these other things for a period of time. Well, I personally, okay, I know people do that type of stuff, but I personally reject the idea that that's what God wanted us to do when somebody passes on to the next phase of their existence, or that we can help anybody in any way, shape, or form about being upset when they get sick and making possibly ourselves sick, but making them more sick because of our fears and worries and vibration. The person that should be put in the room with the sick person is the most joyful person they could find. That's who should be put in the room with that sick person.
You're right. Definitely.
Yeah. So it's all our choice. But a lot of times we didn't know this stuff, right? That's why we're asked questions and we're all here to help each other out. It's just to recognize what we kind of know intuitively, that we've just been programmed a different way by society.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, Kevin. It's Takira.
Hi.
Hi. I kind of have two questions. I don't know which one to start with. I guess I'll start with the bad and then go to the good. there's a neighbor that I have who I thought was like the sweetest lady in the world. She's a white woman, and she would go out into our hallway, put up, food and prayer scriptures, and people would be able to take them. But the other night I was in my apartment and I heard her yelling at a man, and I saw the man going downstairs, and she called him the N-word.
The
I mean,
N-word,
so,
okay.
so loud, Kevin. And I'm like, whoa, 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 I'm a Black woman. And I thought she was so nice. And now I look at her like, and I bought her a Valentine's Day gift, all from my neighbors. But I am totally upset. And I'm like, I didn't know.
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
So again, and so let me give a little bit of my background. Obviously, I'm pretty white, okay? To the point of like, my wife says you're pink, right? Okay. So I'm like, I'm not pink, we kid around. But my wife's background, my wife is half African American, half Hispanic. So, and I've lived out of the country in France for a couple of years. I've got a brother who's married someone from Taiwan, another brother who married someone from the Philippines. I mean, like literally physically over there, not just like they came here, but like they're actually over there kind of thing. So I've got some diversity in the family. And I think about, okay, scripturally, let me do something here that maybe this will work, maybe this won't for you. We've all, well, I shouldn't say we all, maybe we haven't all, but a majority of us have heard of David and Goliath, right?
Yeah, the slingshot.
Yeah, and the great things that he did for Israel in being God's servant.
Yeah.
Right? David, and so I'm thinking I'm going to share it anyway, because you can decide how you want to feel about it. Because a lot of people are taking historical figures today that did a lot of good, but also did something that wasn't so good that maybe we didn't know about. And now we're trying to essentially wipe out everything that ever happened that was good about the person because they did something that was bad. Right. And again, there's this whole, well, it was the era, but but that was still wrong. And yes, okay. David, though, here's why I bring up David and Goliath. David helped through God, helped deliver them from the Philistines, and later on was anointed king and did all these great things. David also, unfortunately, later on in his life, as a married man, saw a woman who was also married that he shouldn't have seen in a way he should have been paying attention to her.
Bathsheba.
Yeah. And desired her, and even went so far as to, even though her husband was already in the military, basically said, let's put him in the place where the fighting is the worst. Because, I mean, he could survive that. He didn't say, go kill the guy. But basically, the guy was somewhere else and said, well, let's put him on the front lines. He wasn't the only human being on the front lines. So there are others there too, dying or living. But it was a better chance of him dying. And he did. And God was pretty ticked off about that. And David lost, some of that favor. Okay. But again, there's forgiveness, repentance, and other things too. Because David did what David did, do we go take the Bible and just rip out all the pages about David? Because he did all this stuff that was good, and then he did this miserable thing that was pretty awful. Well, somebody could say and judge and go, well, because of what he did today, everything he's ever done since the day he was born must be illegitimate and have no purpose or meaning for me.
I get it.
So if you want to have some mercy and grace towards this person, stay where you're at, but also go knock on the door and say, hey, I just want you to know I overheard.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she's going to respond or react. I don't know her. It sounds to me like your relationship with her has been good up until now, till you heard that. And maybe this person is just plain stupid, ignorant, and or subconsciously, she's all good, but when she got ticked off at someone,
it came out.
It came out because, and I'm not saying, because that's either the way she used to be, or that's the way mom and dad was, or brothers or aunts or uncles, or however she was brought up. So I'm not saying anything about like, well, what she did is common and normal and right. And, I would never say that. But I'm just saying you can tell yourself any story you want to tell yourself. Meaning Takira can tell Takira. You can tell yourself anything you want to about this person, which obviously yesterday, when that happened, you told yourself something based upon your experience and knowledge and everything else, and it made you not feel good.
Yeah, because
which isn't helpful to you.
right.
So you're only going to hurt yourself as long as you feel that way. So you should probably get it off your chest and find out where she came from and maybe educate her. Because some neighborhoods she would not be living still after that happened.
Yeah.
It was the
She's
wrong
probably
person, the door would have been kicked in and she might not be alive,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
So
Jesus. But I'll pray for her. I think she has a battle within herself. I don't even think it's about the man or whatever. I just think she's got an issue.
yeah,
I'll pray for her. I haven't decided if I can go talk to her because I'm not.
yeah, and
Woo.
maybe not right now
I'll
anyway,
try.
right? I'm
Take
just
some.
whatever you feel guided to do. But what you
Yeah,
don't want to do, none of us want to do, is relive it.
that's true. Relive it. Don't do that. I just want to let it go like an apple. But what my happy question is then, thanks for answering that, is about the love chapter we're on. My affirmation has been, I am wanted, I'm happily married to a kind, wonderful, generous man, period.
Sounds
And
pretty
so,
sweet.
yeah, you know, but I'm dating, like I'm having the opposite problem from Francine. My ratio is amazing because I have like 4 men, no title. But this is the problem, Kevin. They're all, one says I want more, one says you're my woman. If there's no ring, Kevin, I'm not committed to them. So the book says to perfect yourself on this man. How, when there's one calling right now, like I don't want to be with them like that, but I want to enjoy them. How do I perfect myself on them without anxiety over, oh my God, I gotta be his wife, I gotta marry him. I don't want to make them hurt, and I don't want to be mean to them because I kind of get really nasty with them when they pressure.
Did your affirmation say anything about divine timing?
Nope. I'll add that. And divine timing. Okay. And what about their feelings? Like if they're
the right person at the right time. Just date and have fun. My wife and I, when we met, neither of us was looking. We could have been, age-wise and everything. Like we could have been looking. We were just open to whatever, and it happened quickly for us. But I wasn't, and neither was she, trying to seal the deal. What happened was we met each other because we were calm about it, and what I felt it, and I think she felt it, that we liked each other. And so one day I said, look, I know I like you, and I think you like me.
Like the kids.
I know I like you, and I think you like me. And if that's the case, let's just say so we don't have to guess. Essentially something to that effect. And she's like, yes, and we didn't get married that day. Okay, that was just the start of, hey, this is, let's not, we weren't pretending, but let's just make it known, that we're together, and and where that leads to, well, it'll lead to wherever it does.
Okay.
And then a little ways down the road, I asked her to marry me, and she said no the first time.
That's okay.
She said no. Yeah. Well, she said no the first time, but but I knew the no was different. It was a scared to be married no, not a scared, not wanting to know. I just knew it. And so let it go. And within a week later, I asked her again, and she said yes immediately. And there was no hesitation or anything. And I said, why'd you say no? And she said, I was just scared.
See,
and so
that's where I'm at. I was offered, and I said no too. But now the opportunity left because the person went and got remarried. Even though we're the best of friends, I was scared at the time. I was 19, and I'm like, oh my God. Well, I'll just keep reaffirming my affirmation that I'm married. I won't force it. I'll just prepare my myself, my
Yeah,
love
but
for myself.
have fun dating if you want, if you enjoy it, do it.
Love it. I love it. It's so much fun for me because I used to just be against it, but now I feel like why not? Let them pamper me and treat me like a queen. There's no need to not have that luxury, but I don't want them to fall into this category of saying you're my woman, you're my, and I'm like, oh,
You
I
don't
just, I,
you don't control that. You don't control, and this is tough too. Like if my son or daughter or wife is unhappy about something, I may have instigated something that may have created that, but sometimes I haven't. It's just life is going on and they're upset about something. I can't make anybody happy. I can't, and nobody can make me happy. It's an inside job. I can try and make the environment easier, but it's still, then again, it's, okay, I could do all this stuff to make somebody happy and they could still not be happy. It's not my responsibility. It's theirs and God's responsibility. That doesn't mean like I'm mean or like I'm like, oh, screw you, you're upset, get out of my face. But if they're coming at me, and the same thing, if they're coming just wanting to complain, I'm like, well, okay, you already know what's going on as you're complaining. You understand, yes, it's bringing this into my life. Okay, do you have an idea when you want to stop complaining? Because when are we going to stop this? Because I'm willing to do it for about 5-10 minutes, but that's my limit for listening to it.
Right. Yeah.
And you know that because I'm going to be in a class tomorrow teaching and working with groups of people and I'm coaching people. So I have to be in the right frame of mind. So
absolutely.
I can only listen to what you're telling me for so long because you already know you're just reliving it as you're telling me the story. So do you want to relive it or not?
And that's no good. So I'm just going to keep reliving my affirmation. And whoever those choices are out of those 4 men, if it's not one of them, so be it. I'm happy. I don't care. Because in my mind is done. So I think that's what I'll do. Just keep reaffirming my affirmation. And I'm wanted and happily married to a wonderful man in divine timing. Right? And don't focus on whatever they're talking about.
Well, if you feel something and guided and that fits with what you're doing, you go down the path till you figure out that maybe it's not the one, right? But just trust God.
Trust God.
Trust
Thanks,
God.
Kevin.
You're welcome.
Trust God.
Anybody else?
Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
Hey, I did have a question or an issue I got going.
Okay.
I hired my real estate business. I hired a what do you call this? VA assistant.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like going kind of slow. I try to be patient. At one point you said be patient. It'll go. I mean, like her second day at work, she called off sick. So I mean, it happens.
Okay.
They told me to use this thing called Mojo Dollar and call things. So
yeah, I know what those things are.
Yes. Yeah, I use what they told me. They can't get it to work.
Okay.
And 2-3 days going by.
Okay. Where are they at?
Philippines.
Okay. So I haven't used them in years. I hired VAs years ago to do stuff. It was actually pretty cool. They did something for me that brought in $6,000 a month, and I only had to pay out $1,700. So that was cool. And that was month after month. And all it took me was an hour a day, like 10 minutes a day to manage it. But here's the one thing I will tell you about VAs. So I'm not law of attraction helping you at the moment, although you do attract things, and I did too. The thing about a VA is, especially not because it's the Philippines necessarily. Of course, you and I, we love the Philippines. Why? They sound closer to us, and it's easier to understand them. It's phone work you want to do, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Cold calls, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. One of the things that I would say is, have you demonstrated for them and created video recordings of you doing exactly every single, and I know you want them to think for themselves, but you got to trust that they're not going to. Not because they're dumb. Just trust that they're not. Don't let them think for you for now. You literally take whatever it is that you want them to do and do it first as an example, and do it more and give them more than one example, and screen capture and record everything you're doing and give them the steps to do it. Then their ability to do it will go up. And once they've got it, that doesn't mean you totally leave it alone. You have them record their calls and you audit those calls.
Yeah, I got all that. Yeah.
Okay. So do they or do they not, when they are on the phone? Sounds like you only did this a few days ago, or has it been weeks ago?
No, it's just their first week on the job.
Okay, gotcha. Have they made any calls and have you heard the recordings?
No, they said they can't get it to work, so they made no
Okay.
calls. They're supposed to be building my social media too. They had two problems: build 3 social medias.
Mm-hmm.
She haven't sent me the emails to complete that yet either. So I was kind of talking to them today, like, if I don't get some results soon, I'll probably plan to cancel and move on. But since we talk about a lot of important things, and I want to not jump to conclusions, so my instinct is kind of close to being like, you only got a couple more days, and you're supposed to be more patient with them because it says the Philippines and they're learning. But I mean, I guess the instinct of me saying the person I got might be a little lazy. I just got that feeling.
Could be. Are you offering, what platform are you using?
A platform like as in,
where do you find the VA?
I actually have LinkedIn, and they had contacted me, and they showed me their webpage, and they seemed to talk okay. We did some video chat with them, and I said, okay, well, I'll give you a try. I said, give me somebody with experience, and they gave me somebody with 10 months cold call experience. I said, I thought you said experience. I said, okay, well, I'll give it a try. I just don't think that.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another thought for you. Since you're a real estate investor, is that what I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
And an agent.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, because when somebody gets a good one, they don't always want to share, but maybe they've got one they want to split costs on, or maybe they've got one that has other family members or other people. Go into Bigger Pockets and post that you're looking for someone and see if there's any recommendations. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, definitely. I know that. That's very popular. Very.
Yeah. Go ahead, find some that have used some people and see if they have any recommendations for people to use, or if you've got someone that's maybe not as busy as you would like, that you'd like to split costs on or something. That way they'll have already trained them how to do what it is.
I know. Definitely.
This may or may not, I don't know what to do in this specific situation because I don't know the VA. I haven't talked to them. Are they a group of 2 or 3, or is it just one person? Are you trying to get one person to be social media and calling, or is it a team leader and they have multiple people on their team doing stuff?
Multiple people there, but I work with them one-on-one, but I got multiple people in that office. I can see them walking around and moving and whatever. So there's multiple people there, but I deal with her one-on-one, and she do all the things for, I guess, my business.
Is she the manager, or is she the one doing the work?
She's just the one doing the work. She's not the manager.
Have you talked with the manager?
Yep, I talked today. I was unsatisfied.
And what did the manager say?
They're gonna call me at 2:00. It is 2 now.
Oh, so they haven't.
I heard that.
You just left a message.
Yeah, and I actually talked to her live. She said, we're gonna work this out. I'll call you at 2:00.
Okay, so maybe it'll get worked out. But if it doesn't get worked out, go find other investors that have good VAs that they've done successfully and get some referrals. And I just threw out Bigger Pockets because it's one of the bigger communities out there.
Okay.
Does that help?
All right. It helps a lot.
From a law of attraction standpoint, the advice I would give you is write out exactly what you want this person to be like, and visualize that you've got this person working for you and everything is going just the way you want.
Definitely.
So I gave you a little practical with a little spiritual.
Both of them.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Everett, this is Francine DuPont. I just sent you a private message.
Oh, there you go.
I might be able to help you.
Thanks, Francine.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm about to read you too.
You're welcome.
Do yourself a favor, okay? Go look at the message now, because when I shut this off, you won't be able to see the message. So you go into chat and you should probably be able to see whatever Francine sent you. Any other questions or comments before we go?
Just that I greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
I really do.
Appreciate it.
I'm so, it's hard for me not to cry because
It's okay.
I'm so grateful to God that after all these years, I'm finally gonna break free.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
You
you are.
know, I'm just so grateful for this,
Awesome.
you know, so I'm sorry, you guys, but it makes me happy and grateful. We're gonna make some money and things are finally gonna turn around.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, unless anybody's got something, I'm going to call it a day. And I'll see you guys next Monday. Anybody have anything? All right. Well, group coaching starts next week. It's not too late this weekend to get in touch with me and be a part of it. Coach Kevin Sparks at gmail.com. You guys all have an awesome weekend, and I will see you Monday. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Thank
You
you.
too. Bye-bye.